A couple days ago, I uploaded a video titled Ranking Fortnite's Best and Most Overpowered Weapons of All Time, and that video has done extremely well, and I also uploaded a post about what you guys think are some of the most broken and overpowered weapons of all time, and those both did really well. First video did well, so I'm deciding to make a part 2 of Fortnite's most overpowered weapons, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. You guys left a ton of comments, and I definitely missed a few, so we're going to go over some more of Fortnite's most overpowered and broken weapons of all time. With that being said, let's get into it. So I kind of have to give an honorable mention to the Star Wand, which was on the thumbnail of this video. I don't want to give it its own designated section because it was patched within like a day, but that pickaxe did, I believe, 56 damage per swing. Absolutely broken. They took it out after just a few short hours. I remember watching the TYFRYZ video when it came out. Just unreal and obviously totally broken and not supposed to happen. So I'm gonna put it on here as an honorable mention, but I can't give it its own designated spot. But for the first actual real placement in this video, I'm gonna give it to the overclocked pulse rifle from Chapter 4, Season 2. I honestly can't believe that I forgot this, and I got so many comments about this weapon, and after rewatching gameplay and remembering this weapon, yeah, I mean, this thing was absolutely broken. First shot accuracy, non-stop first shot accuracy, by the way. There was literally no bloom, so if your crosshair was there, you were going to hit them for 40-something damage. And then the fire rate when you hit fired was basically fully auto. So it was unreal, unbelievably strong. If you had one, you basically won the game. And I honestly can't believe that I forgot this weapon, but definitely overpowered and definitely deserving of a spot in some of Fortnite's most overpowered weapons of all time. And now I want to talk about two actually that I'm going to put together from Chapter 5, and that is going to be the pre-nerf Frenzy Auto Shotgun and the pre-bullet drop nerf Reaper sniper rifle. Now, I honestly can't believe that I forgot the Reaper just because as of now, it's not as good as it used to be, but that pre-nerf Reaper was the best sniper of all time by far, not a question. It was like hard to not hit a headshot or even hit anybody with that weapon. That pre-nerf Reaper is probably a top 3 or 4 just weapon of all time, and it actually totally ruined the meta, in my opinion, of Chapter 5 Season 1 because there was no point holding AR. You would just hold a sniper instead of the AR. So it made, everyone was just boxing up waiting to snipe. So that, I kind of didn't like that season for that reason, but I can't deny that Reaper sniper was absolutely busted. Definitely needed the nerf, don't get me wrong, but the pre-nerf Reaper was just unreal weapon and definitely deserving of this list. And I feel like you could say the same, honestly, about the Frenzy Auto. Frenzy Auto used to be probably a top 2 or 3 shotgun of all time. I think you could probably argue for that list, and it is still a really solid shotgun, and in my opinion, probably the best in the game right now. I would probably still take a Frenzy Auto or maybe a Gatekeeper sometimes, but yeah, I mean that the Frenzy Auto was insanely strong, and especially with the fact with the Mythic, if you had Oscar's Mythic, you could easily like 2-shot somebody with that thing. Fully auto too, better than, in my opinion, the drum shotgun, which I was thinking about putting on this list, especially the enhanced drum shotgun. But yeah, no, I saw a ton of comments about the Reaper and the Frenzy Auto, and after kind of revisiting it, yeah, I definitely do think that these two deserve to be here. I also did get a couple comments about the Dash medallion from this current season, and while I don't feel like it feels that overpowered now, I mean, it definitely is the strongest out of all the medallions. I think in a couple years, we're going to look back on this Mythic and really realize how strong it is. And so I do actually think it deserves a spot on this list because you have the ability to not only use it as mobility to just keep recharging the skulls and keep dashing, but if you're in any fight, you could basically just instantly take high ground if you're good at using the medallion. And of course, I didn't really think about it now just because, I just feel like it's part of the game. It doesn't feel that broken, but I know looking back on it in a couple seasons, people are going to say this is overpowered, and it is really, really strong. Definitely the best medallion, and when you have those skulls, you're basically untouchable, right? So I feel like something like that has to be on a list, and of course a couple of you guys commented, and I would agree. Another kind of actually forgotten about weapon that was unbelievably strong, I'm going to go with Kit's Shockwave Grenade Launcher from, I believe that was Chapter 2, Season 3 now. It feels so long ago. But yeah, I mean, how about the fact that you are using a grenade launcher to shoot shockwaves, and you can just replenish shockwaves with rockets? I feel like this weapon just kind of goes forgotten about and untalked about, but I think the fact that you could essentially have unlimited shockwaves, or at the very least 14 or 18, I forget at the time what it was, maybe 16 shockwaves at a single time and shoot them all at one time is kind of ridiculous and really strong. And I constantly remember people shooting it at their feet and then just jumping into your box with a shotgun, and that's what it would be used for. And especially when it was paired with Kit's mythic charge shotgun, yeah, that was a really strong duo. And so while the shockwave grenade launcher I don't think really stands out as being insanely overpowered, I do think that it is probably one of, if not the best utility item we've probably ever seen. It's hard to think of some better, maybe the katana, kinetic blade obviously, but other than that, I mean, it's kind of tough. So yeah, I mean, I think just the fact that you could play offensive with it, defensive with it, take high ground with it, anything you want, you could essentially do with this. You could shoot your teammates. Unbelievably strong and definitely deserving of this list. And I know a couple of you guys commented that, so I appreciate everybody commenting their opinions because it definitely helped me with making this video. And I wanted to kind of end the video and give kind of a funny one here at the end. What about the goo gun from, I believe, was it chapter 3? I mean, I can't even believe that this weapon even existed, and I remember using it, and it was so weird because I feel like it didn't do that much damage, but there were like other things that you could do with this weapon that made it so good. For starters, I do remember that when you would stick the actual goo onto somebody, it would actually affect like your screen. Like if you got stuck in the face, like it would be on your screen, like in your face, so it affected the visibility of the other person. And also I remember a big thing in that season was you could just spray it on top of somebody's ceiling if they're in a box, and it would just drop in. The rest of the goo would just drop in and do damage to them. And again, it didn't do that much damage, but you have to remember, I believe you had 200 ammo. Like it wasn't rockets, it was like its own ammo, and you had 200 of that for each goo gun. And let me tell you, these things were everywhere. Like they were not a mythic, they were not hard to find, they were a blue rarity. Like these things were everywhere. And if you started to get good with the goo gun, you could shoot this thing 40, 50, 60 meters and still do good damage with someone. Like it was honestly kind of crazy. And I didn't see that many people commented, a couple people did, but I remember how strong this thing was. And while it doesn't stand out to me as being like some of the most overpowered, because again, I don't think it did that much damage if I remember, but it was really strong. And I think while it would be at the bottom tier of some of the most overpowered weapons of all time, I definitely did think that it deserves a spot as one of the strongest weapons, and definitely one of the strongest explosive weapons of all time. So yeah, this is my part 2 to Fortnite's strongest weapons and most broken weapons of all time. And if you didn't go see part 1, go check that out because it's basically the same style of this video. A little more thought out though, just because some of those were a lot easier to do. But yeah, go check that video out if you haven't. And thank you again for watching this one, and for everybody commenting in the videos. Really helps me to make more videos and take more ideas, and I read all of them, comment, respond to all of them, so I really do appreciate it. But of course, with all that being said, thanks again for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.